Hi guys, welcome back to VALORANT. Certainly one of the days of all time in the VALORANT world yesterday was so much drama happening yesterday from Durka, from Tens and from others about the state of EMEA VALORANT. Yesterday delivered an absolute masterclass in how not to do esports and a complete embarrassment for the entirety of the VCT and certainly Riot Games as well. Lots of discussion on that matter yesterday. Some big games in the Americas too as the playoffs continue to mega results and in terms of the importance for potential changes that may be necessary in the near future. Very much interested in your thoughts in the comments. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always. I would greatly appreciate loads of new support lately. Really appreciate you all. Let's just do it, right? Because MEMEA, what an absolute joke. So we talked about it yesterday, Durka's thoughts, many of the other players' thoughts on the quality of the equipment and the fact that the stuttering and the issues that all these problems cause leads to these technical pauses happening all the time. They can't even play on LAN because the servers don't work. They have to play online. And yesterday was, I mean, like, just a horrific experience for all involved. And frankly, although Liquid eventually won the map, I'm not even sure you can describe it as a win. Because this was just not real Valorant. Like, this was not real Valorant. And how could, it's not possible to, in my opinion, kind of consider it a real game. And I know that the teams will therefore debate this, right, whether when they eventually get it replayed, is that, well, when you're playing one round and then the game is going to pause again for another 30 minutes, you know, the momentum is dead. I don't know. It's just such an absolute nightmare. I mean, can you imagine? I know it's different in esports, right? Because you need equipment and PCs that will run the games, but like no other esport really suffers with this in the same way that Valorant does. Certainly in Europe, it's an absolute joke. I mean, imagine you turned up to an actual sporting event and there were problems with, I don't know, like a tennis match or something, a tennis event, the French Open, and the court is problematic. Something doesn't work, the clay is problematic, so the ball won't bounce on it properly. And it was the same year they had last year and the year before and the year before that, and everyone's been complaining about it, and they're not going to fix the issue, so the tournament's chalked, and no one can watch, all the fans have to go home. It's like, you know, are we actually serious? What are we doing here? So Com says, what's going on? Take pauses are going crazy. And then, of course, it continues. So people were discussing what it's looking like and why this is an issue. Now, it's kind of hilarious to think about that. Apparently, in EMEA, they have to turn off the FPS count, obviously, because the FPS count is so bad. As Quadanib says here from Navi, it's crazy we need it off so it doesn't show how low the FPS is. I get random stutters and I don't even make a big deal because I usually die of it, but screw the tech pause. He's like saying the tech pause are so bad that I usually just put up with it rather than complaining about the issues. But the point really is, it's not about the average FPS being 253. It's about like what the 1% lows are. Like when everything's going on in the game, it's not League of Legends in the sense that it's much more easy to run. When there's a load of things happening on your screen, those 1% lows and those stutters that you get are definitely affecting gunfights. So after an absolute nightmare of an afternoon, EMEA eventually decide, due to significant and ongoing technical issues at Riot Games Arena in Berlin, we've made the difficult decision to postpone today's EMEA matches. The league will revise the schedule in the coming days and share an update with the community once a new match day is confirmed. We don't even know when they're going to be doing it. And then they deleted the VODs and everything. But understandably, right, people were so frustrated about this. You know, Kamata here from Carmine Core says, I will not even cast and watch the games anymore until they fix their issues. We shouldn't be taken for a ride like this, he says. And this is from Zetcha, of course, who's coach over there, and says the league is an absolute mess, basically. We're sacrificing everything in our life to be here and compete. I'm never talking about personal life, but I'm too emotional right now. My mum is sick. I'm working 15 hours a day, far from her, giving my whole life to play this game. 5 matches per split, and half of the matches experience all of this terrible stuff. Why am I doing this? I'm sacrificing everything in my life and my health. You guys don't respect us. You should be ashamed at Valley Sports EMEA, at Leo Farrier. So, yeah, I mean, look, very emotional statement and totally understandable in the current circumstances, right? Because, you know, the league has to be on board with what's happening here. And frankly, it's been a thing for years now that EMEA, Europe seemingly especially, just does not get any kind of respect, I don't know, from Riot, and the fact that they're sharing the arena with the League of Legends stuff, and it's just such an absolute mess. Nothing happens, and as Boaster says, sorry to the fans that came today, because of course they never got to play right. Their game against Heretics has now been postponed indefinitely. I know 2 of our supporters had come from Japan. Don't know if anyone else came from far, and this guy Miles in the replies was like, look, I came from London, you know, my friend came from Switzerland, got to catch a flight at 3 a.m, and, you know, he had to go back, right? So it's just unbelievable the problems that this has caused for many that were flying across the world. And even this from Nats, who then said, because eventually they won it after like 4 hours, and he says it might be for nothing, right? But effectively implying that they might end up replaying it. It is controversial. What do you do, right? Because, okay, Liquid won the map, but it was such a mess that, was it really a real win? I mean, you can debate it. Then, of course, people are going to say, well, it gives KC a massive advantage because they can spend the next few days looking at what Liquid did to them and then, preparing to counter-strat them, basically, which is also true. It's just why these issues are so problematic and the competitive integrity is an absolute nightmare. So Leo Faria, who, of course, is like the head of the global Valorant esports world, he comes out with a statement and says, I understand you're all frustrated by the situation in EMEA. I am also. The volume and recurrence of issues is simply not acceptable and not up to Riot standards. Although, frankly, these are the Riot standards of Europe, like, let's be real. And, but obviously not where they want to be. Rest assured, I am addressing it. That said, the tweet below, because he did this tweet the other day when it was this crazy long game, took 2 hours. And look, it was a mega game. It was 25-23. Faria says, did Scorsese direct this? But, of course, people kind of took it the wrong way to say, all the tech pauses, that's the reason why everything takes so long. And he says, look, we've addressed it through official channels. The team is on it. We'll provide further updates. But as Durka said yesterday, he's been hearing this for years and nothing changes. So let's see where the budget goes this time. This was pretty funny, I thought, from Lucas Rojo. Of course, he's worked with a few teams over the last couple of years, but certainly now with Lev. And he said the following: in solidarity with KOI, we at Leviathan will also not participate in the Americas playoffs to protest with our compatriots, all of us with the same goal. So I thought this is pretty funny, really, right? Because obviously there's a controversy. So the teams are saying, we're going to refuse to play in the playoffs, but of course these teams, if you guys haven't recognized the joke yet, didn't qualify for the playoffs, right? So they're not able to attend regardless. So we still have 2 games to be completed. I thought it was going to be over today, but look at that TBD. You do not see that every day. Let's just quickly touch on the Pacific, because we do have a big game underway. Talon versus Gen.G in the first round. Talon took the game on 13-6. Gen.G bounced back on the Icebox 13-6, and it looks like, well, actually, it's almost guaranteed, they're going to close out the Pearl as well. So it looks like Gen.G are going to take the dub here. Primmy's tried his best, it seems, on the Yoru, but it looks like Gen.G are going to get over the line. They will therefore advance on to play Boom Esports, it looks like, in the second rounds. And then by the time you guys are watching this video, probably DRX versus T1 is just about to get underway as well. But there was 2 big games in the Americas last night, elimination games in the first rounds, and look, it is remarkable how Cloud9 can look so impressive, and then when it matters in the playoffs, they it's just the same old story again and again. Look, I think that EG definitely deserve good credit for their performance, but Cloud9 are genuinely just a hilarious organization. And I think for Ye, it's a great moment for Ye, right? Because Ye, after all the Cloud9 drama before, screwing him over, dropping him off the team for role issues and all this, finally he had the opportunity to get revenge. And literally the very first rounds of the very first map of the series, Ye comes through with 1, with 2, with 3, with 4, and eventually with 5 kills onto net to close out the round. Stellar stuff from Ye. And that was how they intended to continue. As he says, 2-0 C9, all good. And EG advancing the tournament with Cloud9, again, eliminated from the playoffs. So, look, this is the thing. C9, they got rid of Rossi, and it's not like Rossi's killing it on Liv right now, but they got rid of Rossi, and it was controversial. They made the decision to make the changes that they did. They looked good in the qualifiers in general, right? It looked like, okay, maybe that decision is actually going to pay off, but they turn up to the playoffs, and as always, they managed to find a way to lose. So, it's incredible, isn't it? Like, these guys they keep their jobs, they stay around of the team, and then they just never go to an international tournament. But Icy and Ye, both of these guys were on fire. The game 1 fracture was 13-9 in the end. The Icebox actually went to an overtime, so Cloud9 put up a bit of a fight, but it was eventually, I think everyone kind of knew that probably Cloud9 were going to find a way to lose, which is in the end exactly what they did. So honestly, fair play to EG, right? Nice victory from them. They advance in the losers bracket. We'll see the bracket here in a second, because how much further can they go? They're only 2 series away from Toronto, right? At the end of the day, only 2 series away, but a team that again also eliminated, that NRG. So 100T played NRG last night, and it was a 2-0. Again, the attacking rounds from NRG are just absolutely horrific. And I've got to say, right, like, it might be time I don't want to say like, oh, it's time for FNS to go, whatever, but I just don't see, like, I see some of the tweets in this NRG team, and I'm like, do they really care? Like, do they really care about trying to be the best version of the team they can possibly be? Are they really committing everything on the line like you would need to? I think it's kind of amazing that Xander, having kind of struggled at 100T so far compared to maybe expectations, just absolutely cooked this series. People were saying that he loves playing against Tier 2, which he did when he was in Tier 2, and people are calling NRG out, of course, with that comment. Cryo on the Chamber. I always like seeing Cryo on the Chamber, so that worked out well. And then the Haven was 13-11, but even then, right, it's like NRG's average rounds on the Haven attack side are just so bad. There's so many questions raised on their approach to the execution of these rounds. You know, they just take their time so long, and eventually it goes down, and FNS with another sub 10 kill map on the final map of the series here. So yeah, NRG eliminated. 100T may go on to make a deep run in the playoffs. They might even make it all the way through. But NRG were just an absolute shambles this stage. And as FNS says, RIP Toronto, well played 100T. Where do they go from here is a good question. I think Ethan's tweet, this is the one that got me right. I mean, this is like, we're out of playoffs, no more Toronto, eyes forward to the next one. It's like, are you going to get an X1? I don't know. I just feel like Ethan, I have my questions since the World Championship victory that he had, whether are they really giving their absolute utmost and full commitment to try and turn this team around? Because I'm not so sure that they are, let's be honest here. Like, if NRG with the talent they had, they should be doing way better than they are, and I think NRG have some serious questions to answer on whether this is the direction they want to take with the future of their franchise and organization, even to such an extent that Chet is now throwing daggers, right? Of course, he used to be on that team, he got cut, now he's on M80 after a bit of drama this year. Not NRG averaging 1.5 attack rounds on Haven in stage 1, mind-blown emoji. So people are saying, look, he's dropped out of tier 2. And it's pretty hilarious, right? I mean, look, at the end of the day, Chet's just hating to hate. I mean, he's got, like, people are going to say, oh, he looks salty or whatever. I think it's just pretty funny, really, that Chet's still talking. It doesn't matter what happens, Chet will still tweet, which I kind of respect the level of commitment to the hating on some level. But, yeah, here he goes again. No real surprise there. Fair play to 100T, as I say, right? I mean, they turned it around. Zix, who's coaching them, said, look, we did a 6-hour VOD review session after their loss. They turned it around. Xander's playing well, so maybe they can start there and make a bit of a run. But this is the way the bracket looks right now. NRG already eliminated, and 100T will go on to play. I think it's going to be the loser of G2 versus Sen. So that's going to be potentially an absolutely huge game to try and qualify for Masters Toronto. It could well be setting up again for a Sentinels 100T Masterclass. So very much enjoyed your thoughts on all of this stuff in the comment section below. Just one quick final check here. Yes, Gen.G did get the victory against Talon in the end on the Pearl. Hit the like button if you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new. Take care, and I'll see you next time.